on the existence of God. We have these pictures with all these witnesses of God and all these faithful who believe in Him. Some have been direct witness of God, and some believe through the testimony of the one who have seen. Adam and Eve, actually, our first parents, they knew directly God in the Garden of Paradise. They were speaking with God. They had this direct contact with God. And the Bible is telling us that God was walking. It's a symbol, of course, in the garden in the evening, speaking with Adam and Eve. But that is to show that they had an intimate knowledge of God. They had a natural knowledge, but they had also a revelation of God. And they had also what we call an infused knowledge of God, because when they were created, they were given an infused knowledge of everything needed for them. It's a bit like when you buy a computer and you have so many software who are already loaded on the computer. And they came with all this knowledge given to them. It's important for us to understand that, because the whole humanity has benefited of this knowledge of Adam and Eve through a certain kind of tradition. This is why all the people in the world, they have believed. They have believed in God. They have something they know about God, about the spirits, about the devils, about the angels. This knowledge is there in the humanity since Adam and Eve. And we can find in all religions of the world something is also coming from this initial revelation. After that, we have the prophets. We have Moses, the prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Zacharias, Daniel, you have even Abraham, Ezekiel. All these men were also the witnesses of God. God spoke to them, revealed Himself to them, and gave them messages for us, for the rest of men. You can see Moses with the table of the law. We have this revelation of the divine law coming from God Himself. And we have our Lord Jesus Christ, who is God Himself, but who came and taught us about the Blessed Trinity and His Father. We have always, in the life of the history, this tradition. This tradition is why all men acknowledge the existence of God and accept to have God present in their life, and they know that since always. In all humanity, we had sacrifices offered to the spirits, to God, sometimes to the gods. It was an approximation. They were not getting properly who was God, but they were trying. They were trying. They were trying to worship some deity. They were acknowledging a superior order, something above us, men, and acknowledging a certain dependence from this superior order. This is how we got to know about God first, by a certain revelation, an inner knowledge from Adam and Eve, and a revelation. But now the question is, can we know that God exists, but not now through revelation, but only through our reason? Can we prove that God exists? Can you reason and deduct from your reasonment the existence of God? And the Catechism is answering yes. Yes, we know by our reason that God exists because of the existence of the world, the order and harmony of the whole universe, and the testimony of our conscience. And now we can ask this first question: how does the existence of the world prove the existence of God? Of course, we know, and this is something that should be evident for all of us. If something exists somewhere, someone has done it. If you walk in a countryside and you see a house, of course you know that someone has built this house. It's not just some people have made that, have built this watch. That is completely obvious. If something well done, well thought about exists, someone has been thinking, making, organizing, planning, building this thing. It cannot be that these things are what they are by themselves without nobody to give this existence, to give this organization, to give this perfection. And for us, it's something we can see every day in the world. Everything has a beginning. We can see the birth of the children, of the animals. We can see where the plants are coming from. Everything has a beginning, and we can see it and constate that when we have an effect, we have always a cause. And there is no effect without a cause. And we know that deeply. This science. Science is just about to find the cause of this effect and to establish a relationship between the cause and the effect. And when we observe the world, we know the farmers every day, they are dealing with this law of cause and effect. If they are planting this kind of seed at this moment and they water it in this kind of soil, they know what will happen. You have an effect because you have a certain causality that is causing this effect. And we have no fruits, no crops, no we are witnessing that every day. And of course, if you speak about the universe, if you speak about the order of the universe, of course, there is a cause for this order. There is a someone who made it. But because we can see that everything is made, who has made this someone? And you understand that we cannot go without hand in this chain of causality. Because if the hen can explain the egg, and you say, okay, but where is the hen coming from? From another egg. Okay. And where was this egg coming from? From another hen. But like that, we explain nothing. We are just adding one more step, one more string to the chain, you know. But we are not explaining. We are just saying, where are you coming from? From my parents. Where are your parents coming from? From their parents. And you can go with an infinity like that. And you explain nothing. You explain nothing. If there is no, at the beginning of this chain, someone who has not been down himself. Someone who is by himself. Because this someone is the only explanation we need to understand. Because nothing else can explain the chain. If one day there is someone who has made his first parents, Adam and Eve. The astronomer Kircher had a friend who denied the existence of God. During a visit one day, this friend saw a globe in the study of the astronomer. And he said, "This is an interesting globe," said he. "Who made it?" "Why," replied Kircher, "it just made itself." The friend had hearty laugh at the idea. And Kircher asserted, "It will be much easier for a little globe like that to make itself than for the immense globe of the earth to create itself." This is why St. Paul is saying people who don't believe in God are inexcusable. You cannot excuse people not to believe in God. Because every day we can acknowledge the fact there is no effect without a proper cause. And the cause has to have a certain proportion with the effect. If you are at home and you see a very bad drawing on the wall, you are going to accuse your children to have taken a pen and drawn on the wall. Because you can see you are looking for a cause that is proportionate to the drawing. And you just can see these lines on the wall of different colors. And you say, okay, there is a child has spoiled my wall now. And you look for him. You have a proportionate cause for this effect. If you see a very wonderful artwork, a very wonderful one, now you're looking for the artist, for someone able to have done that, you know, someone learned, someone talentuous, and you look for him. Because not everybody has done that, not anybody, someone talented, and you look for him. And now when you look at the world, this world that is so wonderful, so well done, so complex, from the infinite small to the infinitely huge and big. The whole universe, the distance between the planets, the different suns we have. Now you look for a cause that is proportional to this effect. If when you see a bad drawing on the wall, you look for a child. When you see a nice picture, you look for the artist. When you see the whole universe, you look for God. Because only someone who is totally perfect, who has all this perfection, can produce such a result. Such a result. This is why what is written in the Catechism, when we see footprints on the sands, we conclude that someone has passed the way. There is a cause for these footprints. The universe is filled with the footprints of a supreme creator. Every single existing thing or being gives clear testimony of him. A light cannot kindle itself. After it is kindled, it will go out in few hours. But the light of the sun in the heavens has burned for thousands of years and continues to burn. Now, what is the cause of the sun? What is this power able to give such a power to a creature? And now you are asking, who is God? Who is this one who has made that? This is why someone who doesn't believe in God cannot be excused. You cannot, you are guilty. You are guilty. If you don't believe in God, at least you are guilty not to use your brain, not to think by yourself. Maybe people have been pushed to this atheism, they have never been taught about God. But all the pagans, all the people living in the wilderness are believing in God. Or a certain thing, a certain supernatural order. Some spirits. How can an educated man today not believe in God? He has no excuse for that. Because God is evident. You cannot explain this order without an intelligence building this order. Actually, that is the next question. How do the order and harmony of the universe prove the existence of God? This order and harmony lead us to infer the existence of a supreme architect and preserver of surpassing skill. The heavenly bodies go along their appointed courses, age after age. The seasons succeed one another year by year. There is splendor, beauty, arrangement, and order everywhere. The whole universe is governed and preserved by immutable law. This order, this organization, every businessman understands. If you want a business to run, if you want your business to grow, and now have branches. If you want your business to become international and have branches abroad, you need a very strong leadership. You need a very strong organization. It cannot not be one by itself. It cannot be organized by itself. Behind this business, you have many people employed to run this business properly. When you see this order in the universe, when you see this consistency in the world, the difference between the different animals, between the different plants, you have a very good organization. If we were just to do it ourselves, we would have made so many mistakes. I think the cows would have eaten all the grass, and grass would have disappeared a long time ago. If we were the one trying to balance the cows and the grass, you know. But still, after thousands of years, you still have grass and you still have cows. You can see this balance. This balance is not easy to make, to produce. If you want to have this balance only between grass and cow, but now you have to balance everything. All the predators, all the prey, all the people eating and all the things being eaten. And after thousands and thousands of years, balance is still there. That cannot happen by itself. It has to be balanced by someone who has this intelligence, who knows the law of all these things, and have put wisdom in all these things. This universal order is not the result. I don't understand how people who pretend to be engineers, to be scientists, they can pretend that this universal order is the fruit of chance. Because when you look at the theory of evolution, they have just been made to deny God, to remove God from this world, to explain the world without God. But they are explaining nothing with these theories. They are explaining nothing. They are just making the world more ununderstandable. You cannot understand it. Because if it's by chance that one day two particles have touched themselves and produced some life, how do you explain? It is just a nonsense. It will be easier to say that, for us in my country, sometimes we are eating a kind of pasta, and these pasta are made in form of letters, and you have all the letters of the alphabet in very small pasta. They have this form, and you make a soup with that, and you have hundreds of letters going around in your plate, you know, very small one. And when we are child, we are playing with that. We put this letter on the border of the plate, and we are writing words, you know, because you have hundreds of these letters in your plate, and you are playing with that. And you imagine that you are mixing this soup in your pan, and you throw it on the ground, and you write a book. And now you can read this book, and it has a meaning, and the history is telling you something very interesting. It's stupid. It is stupid to say that chance, that mixing characters, mixing letters, and throwing them on the ground will produce a book that has a meaning. And it's even a very interesting story. Who is a scientist who can believe such a stupidity? And this is what they are teaching through this theory of evolution when they say the world has gone by chance, has come by chance. And if the world is beautiful, it's just by chance. If a human being is able to reproduce himself in thousands and thousands of years, it's just chance. No, it's not chance. It's a very elaborate process. And every day our scientists discover new laws of the being, of the life. And they admire the complexity of only an eye, how an eye is able to see billions of colors with such an accuracy. And that is chance. No. You can see it's completely stupid. It's a nonsense to deny the existence of God, because we need an intelligence to explain this order. To say that this universal order is a result of accidents, or that the planets direct their own courses, is as foolish as to say that a car goes by itself without any guiding and piloting. Actually, in the Bible, we have in the Psalms these quotes. The heavens show forth the glory of God, and the firmament declare the work of his hands. God is this intelligence cause that has made all these things. And even this pagan Cicero, this Roman politician and writer, was saying, when we contemplate the heavens, we arrive at the conviction that they are all guided by a being of surpassing skill. And Cicero also says, there is no nation to be found so savage as to be ignorant of the existence of God. And the great astronomer Newton often uncovered and bowed when God's name was uttered. The big scientists can acknowledge and must acknowledge the intelligence and the wisdom of God. But even in Kenya, you have some associations of atheist people who are pushing their agenda, and they are spending their life to fight someone who doesn't exist for them. I think they know that God exists, but they want to fight him. And that is not atheism. It's hate of God, not atheism. How does the testimony of our conscience prove the existence of God? By our conscience, we can distinguish right from wrong. Our conscience approves the right and condemns the wrong. Thus, within ourselves there is a recognition of a supreme lawgiver to whom we are responsible, who will reward the good we do and punish the evil. Only the fool says in his heart, there is no God. We know that there is a need. There is a need for explanation. And this explanation can be only God himself. It's a way actually to prove the existence of God. You prove because it must be someone who did it. It is impossible that nobody has done that. Because nothing can exist without a proportionate cause. And it is a valid philosophical reasonment, even a scientific reasonment. Because there is no effect without a cause that is proportional to this effect. Those who persist in denying the existence of God in spite of external and internal testimony are atheists who are eaten up by pride or live vicious lives or both. Of them our Lord said, seeing they do not see and hearing they do not hear, neither do they understand. For the heart of these people has been hardened, and with their ears they have been hard of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they see with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their mind and be converted, and I heal them. Actually, the problem of the existence of God is not a problem. It's even not something we should discuss, because God is, and this is an evidence. And the problem is never the existence of God. It's not that. When someone is losing the faith, I was telling you that last time, when someone is losing the faith, it's not because of the existence of God. It's because of the consequences of this existence. This is why the Freemason when they accepted an existence of God, they say this God has no providence. This God, yes, has created the world, but is not interfering with this world. He is not judging us. There is no private judgment, there is no final judgment, there is no hell and there is no heaven. Because this God they can accept. But people who deny God, usually they deny God because of the justice of God, or because of the morality, and because now one day we will be judged, and now we have to give account of our life to God. But we have to understand that God is, that is clear. If God is, we know that He is perfect. And we know that if God is perfect, He has also to be just. And if God has to be just, we have to pay for what is wrong in our life. Can you imagine in a family, the father of the family sitting in the house and watching his son abusing completely his daughter, torturing, killing his daughter. And do you imagine the father can stay there and sit and do nothing? It's not possible. Because you will accuse his father to allow that to happen. You would accuse his father not to do his job. And you will be right. How can you accept a father like that? And God cannot be this kind of father. God is responsible for this creation. He is the father of all the creatures. He is responsible for this world. And if a man is killing another man, God cannot watch and do nothing. If God was like that, he would be unjust. He would be an irresponsible God. He will not be good and just. And he is not. This is why there is a justice. But for us human beings, because the justice is not coming now, we think, I can do what I want. There is no justice. I am free. I can kill, I can steal, I am still alive. And because we are so short-minded, we think that we can continue like that. But we cannot. Because God is there. And God cannot be this father who is watching his children torturing each other and doing nothing to stop them. Of course, God is not like us. He is not in our time. God is eternal. For God, 1 second is exactly the same than 1 century. God, it's not because God is not acting now that He will not act later. And I explained you last time why God has also to let us free. He cannot stop us. He cannot give us freedom and stop us anytime. Because that is a contradiction. This is why God allows bad people to be bad and to act badly, because that is the law of freedom. But God one day has to act, has to judge, has to punish. And this is why people are denying God. Because if they accept God, they have to accept a morality. They have to accept to control themselves, to limit their passions, to accept the good and evil. And because they want to act badly, they prefer to deny God and say, I can do what I want. There is no God to judge me. But this is blindness. Because they are just getting a bigger problem. It's better to be aware that God will punish you and now try to go a right way. And to say, yes, okay, I will have to be punished for the wrong I have done. Let me try to avoid to do more. Let me try to be good. I will have already to pay for so much. Let me stop sinning now. Because God is God and He will punish me for everything. He will have to. I will have to pay. But these people, they continue to blind themselves. And say, I can do what I want. There is no God. But still God is there watching them. And they are just adding lines and lines in this balance sheet. And they will have to pay for it. It's like to go to the supermarket and you take a very big cart and you say, oh, I am free, I can do what I want. I can take everything I want and put it in this cart. But at the end, you just have to pay. You cannot go out of this shop without paying. And even if you want to forget that at the end, you will have to pay for what you have taken. You will just have to pay more. And it will be more terrible. This is why it is blindness. And people are pushed to this blindness because of their bad behavior. And they don't want to accept. And they are blind because of the evil heart they have. They don't want to see. Because if they accept to see the truth, they have to change of life. And this is why people are not believing in God. Because they want to be independent. Because they don't want to accept to pay for the wrong they have done. And this is why they persist denying God. It is a perversion of hearts that is pushing people to deny God. But even that is not a sufficient explanation. We must go to a deeper explanation. Why people deny God? This is the work of Satan. Satan has his own interest to cheat people. Because you know that Satan, the devil, is hating God. And for him, he wants God to fail. And how he is trying to do that? By diverting the souls from going to heaven and taking them in hell. To make them enemies of God forever. This is the plan of the devil. And for him, the best way he has to implement that is to make people blind about God. To cheat people and tell them there is no God. You can do what you want. You are free. You can sin as much as you want. You can enjoy this life. You can steal and kill. It's not a problem. There is no one to judge you. And this is a real and deep explanation of atheism. Atheism is not coming from man. It's coming from the devil himself, who wants to cheat men. And why? Because he's hating God. And he wants God to be deprived of his children. And for him, it's a way to fight God than to send someone in hell. And also because he is jealous, he is envious, and he doesn't want us to be happy forever, and he wants us to share his own hell forever. This is why people are atheists, because the devil is working for that. Working to push people in this direction because of this hate of God. And this is the only true explanation. Because even pagans, even if they were bad, they were still believing in God. They were still believing in God. Of course, our bad heart can try to argue in order to continue sinning in peace, and you deny God. But at the end, this is the work of Satan. This is the interest of Satan. This is why for us, let us not be blind. Because even us Catholics, we are blind today. Because so many Catholics, they are even more blind than other pagans. Because they know exactly where they should go, what they should do to go to heaven. We know exactly the truth. We have a good catechism. And we don't do it. and we blind ourselves. Because we know what we should do and we don't do it. We know we should live in state of grace and we don't. And we sin. And we don't go for confession. And we stay for years in a mortal sin. When we know that we can die every day and go to hell. We are also blind. And let us not be these blind people. Let us acknowledge the existence of God. Let us acknowledge this necessity of a God who is judging us, and that we will have to pay for everything. Let us not be like Freemasons that believe that God exists, but God doesn't punish. God let us free to do what we want and to run our life as we want, and there will be no consequences of our sin, for our sins. No. This is a wrong way to believe in God. Donc let us be consistent in our Catholic life.